So you're probably more than aware at this point that GTA 6 got delayed to the end of the year. And this is one of those things that's probably still too early to be talking about, too. But recently, Take-Two Interactive stated that they are confident the game won't get delayed again, and that there's going to be a major marketing push this summer. Among the many things that are included in marketing that leads up to a release, radio stations and a few soundtrack samples are always included. I remember this going back to like Vice City stories. At least that's the first time that I remember actively following the marketing of one of these games. And I can't believe that was already 20 years ago, too. Time flies, doesn't it? Anyway, we're already in February, so really it's just going to be a few months before we finally get a better idea of what the wider soundtrack is going to include. And there's still a few things we can infer about it at this point in time, too. I made a video about this a while ago with some of my guesses for what might be on it, but I want to do a little update with what we know about it first, and what we can guess about it. For starters, we know that all of these songs are going to be on it, since they were all featured in the trailers. Now from this, going down the list, first you can assume that there's going to be a 70s and 80s soft rock station, with songs by Tom Petty and Jay Ferguson, and other artists who make music that's similar to them. Here's a fun fact, by the way, Jay Ferguson also composed the theme songs of The Office. I literally didn't know about that until I looked him up for this video. I never really sought out his music before, but yeah, there's something new I just learned, and maybe you learned it too. Pointless fact anyway, but moving on, there's probably going to be a radio station with a mix of funk and R&B on it as well, or at least funk and R&B dating back to the 80s. Something like Fever 105 in Vice City or Space from GTA 5. Hot Together by the Pointer Sisters is going to be on there. It's kind of funny too, I heard that song a long time ago because I saw Spaceballs on TV when I was a kid, and I totally forgot about it until this trailer suddenly made the song popular again. We're also definitely getting country music, considering they threw in a Tammy Wynette song. It's kind of funny how when it comes to country music, they always pick the old stuff over the new stuff. But then I can even tell that the old stuff sounds way better, and I don't even really like country music. We're also getting Everybody Have Fun Tonight by Wang Chung, which means there's either going to be a classic pop station, or there's going to be a pop mix radio station like Non-Stop Pop, where you get everything from each decade. Meaning they'll play Wang Chung, and then they'll probably play Billie Eilish afterwards. We're definitely getting a Haitian radio station as well. The song that's playing in one part of the trailer is called Child Support by Zenglin. It's a compas song, and that's a type of music that originated in Haiti. There is another song we know of that might be featured. There's an Australian synth band called Panama, and whoever runs their Instagram account said that a song called Back to Life that they wrote with members of the LA-based synth group called Poolside is going to be in the game. Then they deleted this post. It's worth noting that both Panama and Poolside both individually had songs of theirs featured on Radio Mirror Park in GTA 5. Another artist from that track list, Neon Indian, said in a podcast interview recently that he's still working with Rockstar. To what extent, who the hell knows?
It ain't the end of me and Rockstar Games. I won't. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't discuss more. But yeah,
exclusive scoop here. That's exciting.
Now that's what we know about the soundtrack so far, but let's move on to some guesses, educated or otherwise. More than likely, we're going to be getting a Spanish-language radio station. It could be something like Espantoso from Vice City, or it could be something with a lot of modern-day tracks on it. Who knows? It would be nice if they actually feature both of them. One for salsa and one for reggaeton. That would be ideal. One more potential radio station that we're probably going to see is maybe hair metal. Jason's got a V-Rock t-shirt on in this scene in the game's official website, and the logo has definitely been updated since the old one. It could just be an Easter egg, but I feel like they wouldn't have gone through the effort of remaking the logo just for that. And for the sake of soundtrack variety, and also hoping that the game's classic rock soundtrack isn't just stuck on soft rock like the last game, I hope it's back. And aside from that, other radio stations that we can probably figure will be in the game are going to be rap, electronic, indie, and something with some jazzy or chill instrumentals. All the modern day stuff. Oh, and I'm sure there's going to be at least one song with Phil Collins and another one with Hall & Oates. That's inevitable at this point. There is another artist out there who spoke about his potential involvement with Rockstar, but somehow I don't think he or one of his songs are even going to be in the game. Martin Ware is a British musician who was one of the founding members of the Human League and Heaven 17, and he also wrote a bunch of songs for other artists back then. Anyway, he got really pissed at Rockstar because he felt that they tried to lowball him on the licensing cost for a song that he composed 4 decades ago. Back in September of 2024, he had this to say on social media. I was recently contacted by my publishers on behalf of Rockstar Games regarding the possibility of using Temptation on the new Grand Theft Auto 6. Naturally excited about the immense wealth that was about to head my way, I scrolled to the bottom of the email regarding the offer. It was $7,500 for a buyout of any future royalties from the game, forever. To put this into context, Grand Theft Auto 6 grossed, wait for it, $8.6 billion. But think of the exposure. Go fuck yourself! Now, he did recently clarify that the total cost Rockstar was willing to pay for the song was $22,500, with the funds being split 3 ways, which if I had to guess from the research I did is probably about an average licensing cost for a 4-decade-old song that wasn't popular outside of Europe to begin with. Don't quote me on that, though. I'm not an expert in music licensing costs. Some songs probably cost way more and others cost less. I think a big reason why he's upset, though, is the lack of royalties. But at the same time, while he obviously scoffed at the what about the exposure argument, I gotta say, I'm kind of feeling the exposure is still kind of worth it. I mean, the game is going to be played by millions of people worldwide. That's millions of chances to potentially gain fans from a new generation. And I'm sure that's got to have some kind of monetary benefit. But it works differently for everyone, and everyone's got their own opinion. I'm also not a successful singer/songwriter, so I don't know how they would feel about that. Either way, them wanting to include that song on the game's soundtrack means that we're either going to have a new wave mix of some kind, or it's going to be thrown on the pop stations. I do hope that there is a good mix of 80s and 90s if there's a classic pop station, though. In real life, I don't think there's any radio stations left that are just playing songs from the 80s. But there are classic hits radio stations in real life that still play a decent mix. In Miami, there's Easy 93.1, which, the last time I checked, played What's Love Got to Do With It by Tina Turner, which would be a great song in the soundtrack, by the way. Because You Loved Me by Celine Dion, which I've never really listened to before, and Hips Don't Lie by Shakira, another great song for the game, all within a 30-minute time frame of each other. Now keep in mind, that's also exactly the same music that plays on every pop mix radio station in every city in the country these days. The exact same songs all play on my city's equivalent of that radio station. I'm pretty sure they're both owned by the same company too, so for all I know, it's probably the exact same playlist that somebody in Minneapolis or Dallas or wherever their company headquarters are came up with, and it's just being cycled around the country. From what I've heard, radio has become very standardized these days. And obviously, real-life radio stations are sadly far less curated than what you would hear on a GTA soundtrack. Now, having said all of that, what songs do you think you would want to hear in the game? I got a whole list of them, and I put some of them in the description of this video. Go ahead and give them a listen, see if you agree with the choices. Oh, and by the way, who do you think they're going to pick to voice the radio DJs? It feels like they almost always exclusively pick either celebrities or people that are prominent in whatever genre that they're hosting. They don't necessarily have to be singers either. They've gotten Karl Lagerfeld and Pam Grier to voice themselves in the games before too. But one artist whose voice I do think we are going to be hearing at some point on the radio in the game is going to be T-Pain. He said so himself, and I don't think he's lying about it either, although I am surprised that a non-disclosure agreement would have prevented him from saying this. Here's what he had to say.
I used to be on NoPixel. Then I started working on on GTA 6, and they told me I couldn't do RP anymore because it kind of goes against shit. They had this whole speech like, like what if somebody took your album and re-recorded it and more people were listening to that? Then I'm like, okay, I kind of get that, but I was having a good time. All right, that's fine. Then I started working on the game with them, and then they teamed up with the people that kind of like make the RP shit. Wow. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
If I had to hazard a guess and go with people that would be my choices, I would say either Pitbull or Bad Bunny for a Spanish-language radio station, T-Pain for an R&B station, Rick Ross for one of the rap stations, and here's a really random one, how about Bob Odenkirk? He's got the kind of voice that I could picture being in one of these games, especially if he's announcing something like The Tide is High by Blondie. I mean, we did hear him singing it in the car one time. And aside from being funny as hell, he is a native of Berwyn, Illinois, and he sounds like it. If they're really trying to capture Floridians, they gotta have a wide array of dialects from up north. Anyway, wow, I didn't think this video would turn out to be this long. Got any thoughts on all of that? Everything that I mentioned in the past 10 minutes? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.